I don't know how Enid would operate in that situation, but it'd probably be just like still water, but where you're getting his direct flights a little late, probably.
Derek, is there sound in this? Yeah.
I tested it with that thing all the way down there.
Did you turn it up and back?
I turned it. I didn't turn it back down though. Is it down?
I'll adjust it. I got a label this too. We're using like 4 inputs. Well, 3. I know what's there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So here's our, this is a little lung issue. They wanted to see that. And that's why I did that. The next day, I knew things were.
Right. I will look into it.
No, it don't. You know it's cool. This way, 10 achievements.
I don't know. But
I'll call the meeting to order. Start with roll call.
Commissioner Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Norwood,
Here.
Commissioner Siragusa.
Here.
Commissioner Roberts. Here. Commissioner Stallings.
Here.
Commissioner Orr.
Here.
Mayor Pinkinen.
Here. Thank you. All right. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, to discuss any item of concern on the rescheduled regular session agenda. Anything over here? Okay. Good. Thank you. Item 3, study items. 3.1, discuss haunted gym special event.
I have a quick little presentation for you, gentlemen,
Good.
and Miss Whitney. So the Haunted Gym is going to be at Champion Park Friday night, the 29th, from 5 to 8 p.m. On Thursday, it's going to be open to city employees and friends from the same time. And these are a couple of our rooms. We have 11 rooms, and then we'll have 2 outside rooms. And then we have a little short video. And then I would like to introduce some of my friends.
Do we have some friends that are coming in?
I have some friends that are coming.
Maybe a friend?
These are just a few of the characters that we'll have at the gym.
I applaud you guys for just going out here and doing this thing. You worked really hard on your costumes. They look fabulous. And the city of Enid is so fortunate to have employees that want to donate their time and efforts to do this kind of thing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you gave it to us for Christmas the last few years, decorated up. I mean, the city does a wonderful job with the holiday season and making things available to the community, and we really do appreciate everything you guys do, so thank you. All right.
Colonel, do you need any scary things out at the base?
So we do the security forces do a haunted house inside the warehouse, but it's nothing to this scale. I'm debating whether or not my 9-year-old can handle that. I'm not sure. Oh, well, there you go. There you go.
Thank you, Kim.
You guys are welcome. Have a great evening.
All right. Okay, item 3.2, review and discuss proposed ordinance regarding recall procedures.
I altered it a bit. I altered it from last time to clarify exactly what we're doing and where it comes from.
Okay.
So, for example, the requirements of having a voter include his name and address is from the city charter, but the zip code and the month and day of his birth are state law. And then the warning, and then the verification with signatures, it's, and where it comes from. Part of it comes from 34 OS Section 6, and part of it comes from the charter. But this is for you all to discuss.
Okay.
And
Okay. As far as I know, we're really not adding anything. What we're doing is clarifying what's already in code, either within our charter or within state law. Is that right?
and the case law.
And case law. Okay. Yep. So.
And there was, I really think everything is fine. There was questions last time about whether it was sufficient that we're saying, therefore, when the city clerk has found a recall petition sufficient, the city clerk shall place the recall petition on the next city council meeting for action by the city council. The council shall order and fix the date for holding the election pursuant to state election laws.
Okay.
Is that what we want it to say? Or do we want to be more explicit? I think that that is sufficient. If you want to be more explicit, then let me know. It's on the agenda tonight during regular session.
What would you say if you were more explicit?
Well, if I was more explicit, I suppose, and I do not know whether you want to limit yourself in this way, we could say the council shall order and fix the date for holding the election pursuant to state election laws at that meeting.
And in my opinion, that puts us in an awkward spot because we're only allowed certain dates and we might not have that information available to us at that moment. And so it would be a little over, working. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think we've already been painted into enough corners between trying to follow the charter and the state rules about when we can do it and when we can't do it. And I think making that corner even smaller is probably not the right idea. I agree that there was some constituent concern over the way that we handled the last recall. I think we've all learned from that process, so I don't see that happening again. I'm quite sure that wouldn't happen again. So I don't know that we really need to do that. I mean, you could get it down to it has to be the second Tuesday after the last meeting. I mean, why would you want to do that? You don't know what's going to happen the second Tuesday after the next meeting. I think we can restrict ourselves so much that we get to a point where we can't do anything. So anyway, right now we're just discussing. We'll do more discussion as we. But this is our time to exchange ideas with each other prior to the vote. So if anybody's got opinions, this is the time to bring them up.
And I agree on that totally because our last meeting, everyone couldn't be here.
Yeah.
So we decided to go ahead and hold off and wait till other councilmen were able to be here out of consideration and respect.
Yeah.
So we, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen from day to day, but I've read what you've put together, Carol, and what I do like about it, you made it clear. You defined it really well, and I just want to thank you.
Okay. What I would say is, it reads as if, you know, the plan would be that you would order and fix the date.
Right.
She's putting it on the next city council for action, barring something unusual, you know, we would have everything there for you, and we would have the date. But things happen. So even with the language, it is implicit that barring some sort of problem, we would probably order and fix the date at that meeting. But something could happen. You know, you could be down to 4, you know, barely have a quorum, something like that, but.
Okay.
If I may, on timing of recall elections, Section 4. If you haven't had the chance to read that paragraph, folks, it's incredible. It is so well crafted. Carol, I mean, you just went over the top on that. Your skills are unequaled. I was very impressed with your verbiage. So I would hope that somebody other than us would get to read that someday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very good language. Okay. Any others? Okay. All right. This is a good point, Commissioner Norwood. We did decide, part of the reason we decided to kick this to the next meeting is 2 of the commissioners were not here. It was controversial enough within the community that we felt we should have everybody here to be able to vote on this issue. So that's why we kicked it down. So, good point. All right. Item 3.3, review and discuss new animal welfare ordinance.
Hello. As everybody knows, several years ago, we changed from animal control to animal welfare. So as part of our gradual upgrade to animal welfare, one of the things is we needed to change the city ordinance from animal control to animal welfare. Well, so a couple months ago, I hit up Carol about redoing this, and then she kind of took over, and actually, we have 2 ordinances that relate to animal welfare. So she combined all those into one, removed several things that didn't need to be there anymore, and then shortened it and actually put it more in order so that everybody that goes online can actually just go through there and find what they need to find. So some of the things that we removed or that we didn't need were the livestock board. I've been in charge of animal welfare for 11 years, both as a lieutenant and as a captain, and I've never seen the livestock board. So we just did away with it because nobody's on that board. Alan hasn't ever seen anybody that's been on that board. I don't even know what it was actually initially put together for. So it must have been something long, long time ago. We did away with potentially dangerous and just combined it into dangerous dogs. Kind of just, just took that whole section out, and Carol put that all into dangerous dogs, so it all kind of covers the same thing. And then we added prohibiting the sale of dogs or cats on public right-of-ways at the request of the mayor and parks. And then they also can make requests from the city manager to get a permit to do, like sell dogs in a park or whatever if there's some type of special event going on. We took out the pot-bellied pigs and ferrets. They'll no longer be required to have a yearly license, nor they need to be sterilized if adopted. I don't know of anybody that's ever sterilized a ferret or a pot-bellied pig. I don't know what the reasoning would be behind that. And then that's about it. Is there any questions?
The part about the $500 fines kind of disturbed me.
Carol did all the fines and stuff, so she would probably be the expert on that.
What,
Which one?
Which one are you talking about?
Well, there was a number of them from what the brief foray into this thing. It just seemed that we were hoodwinking ourselves, that there wasn't a lot of room for maybe the judge to make a, unless that's the truth. I don't know. I mean, just saying $500 fine for a specific action seems a little excessive. I mean, there's one thing about speeding and there's another thing about an animal that.
Okay, I understand. And actually, most of the fines are less than they were before. Many years ago, we had a council that was very, very concerned about animals. So for example, they had fines of $750 plus minimum jail times. I've already taken those out. These indicate a fine up to $500 and or a term of imprisonment of up to 30 days. Now, I agree with you. I think some of them are a little high, but I reduced them already. So I didn't want to be perceived as that crazy woman that loves animals. But anything over $500, anytime we have jail time, that means we have to have, if they are knowledgeable, a jury trial, and then we have another jury trial in district court. Additionally, most of these ordinances, what we're really wanting is we're wanting compliance rather than money. Right. No one wants to, we just want the people to take care of their animals. What I can do is I can move the amounts down a bit, if you would like that. If you have any particular ones that you're more concerned about, I'll look at those.
But Carol, I think that was the third offense, wasn't it, the $500 fines?
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
For instance, we've got $500 and 30 days in jail if someone doesn't follow the conditions for keeping a dangerous dog. Now that is relatively, I mean, you know, the judge would determine that he can keep it if they do these things and then they don't. We have $750 plus costs and or a term of imprisonment up to 30 days. Now,
I don't know anybody's fellow think that yet.
okay, so let me work on that and I'll bring, would you like me to bring it back to a study session or just regular session with maybe reduced fines?
I'll let the rest of the council talk.
I just got a question on that. Alan, I heard you say we have not even ever addressed that yet.
Well,
would you think that this is a...
fell underneath that yet.
Well, but I'm just saying, do you think that this is a good deterrent by having it worded this way?
You know, we have people.
If we haven't addressed it?
People had fourth offense for their dog run loose, which would be $750, and they still let their dog run loose.
But under the dangerous dog one, you haven't had...
That's up to the judge. If he says it's dangerous, that dog could be either destroyed or however big.
In all honesty, the actual deterrent is if they don't do those deals is that if it goes back to court, the judge is going to take their dog and euthanize it. So that's actually the deterrent. The money, probably not as much a deterrent as the fact that they could lose their dog and the dog would have to be put down.
That's when they usually get fined, when they just came back.
That is probably the more the deterrent than it is them worrying about the money. Because they have to go through quite a few steps to be able to keep a dangerous dog, one that has bit somebody or killed another dog or something like that.
Actually, I actually think that that particular fine for the vicious dog is low. Because if you've already been, you know, in order to keep this animal and it goes out and does it again, I think you should have a higher, stiffer fine.
Yeah, I have two.
Personally.
I have two in town that they keep, but we keep eye on them. They could do yard inspection every quarter, so we know where they're at and what they're going on with them.
Okay. Okay, good.
I want to tell you that I've got some really bad armadillos, and you can come get them. They're working my yard over really
Give me a
good.
call and I'll teach you how to
Most
do it.
mornings. I don't know who has them, whether it's my next door neighbor or who, but they are bad.
Oh, they'll tear your yard up.
Okay. Carol, appreciate the work that you did on this as well. One of the things that's bothered me for a long time is driving down O&K Garrett on the weekends and seeing somebody there with puppies, and 2 months later, I see the same people with another litter of puppies, and many of them end up in the animal welfare area because people adopt them because they're cute, and then the next thing you know, they either let them go or they turn them in. And the city has tried to handle that by, if they try to turn in, if the puppy mills try to turn in animals that they can't sell, we'll ask them to bring in the mother of the animal so that we can have them fixed so they can't have any more litters. But we got to have some way of doing that. And I know I'm not so naive as to not think that they can do it just on the other side of the city limits. But fact of the matter is, it's a lot. They're going to get a lot less traffic there than they are going down O&K Garrett next to Kentucky Fried Chicken or all the places that people go in town. So I appreciate the fact that we're putting it in there, and I really do think we need to care about domestic animals, and I think this is one of the things we can do to do that. I don't think the fine is too high, it's $100, but I think it'll disincentivize people from doing that. So we'll see what goes from there. Any other discussion? Okay, thanks, Carol. Appreciate it. Item number 3.4, discuss recent town hall event.
Yeah, I put this on the study session just to give us an opportunity to recap what was discussed at the town hall meeting. And so I thought I would go over those notes really quickly because I know I think two of you weren't able to be there. I will say that turnout for this town hall was less than what we've seen in, I think, the prior ones. And I think that's probably because, maybe because there were less controversial issues to talk about. Maybe, that was just my thinking. And there were probably some other conflicts with the meeting date, but I'll just quickly go over. I think there was only a handful of people that got up and spoke, and I'll try to capture what they said so we can visit about some of that stuff, and you can tell us, you know, whether you like that format or you want to do something different. But one of the first notes I have, and Scott, I know you've got some notes too, Ms. Toombs had gotten up there and she spoke about streets. Clearly, that's one we need to keep working on throughout the city. However, I was encouraged that there was only, I think, one person that got up, at least publicly, and talked about streets. We all know there's plenty of streets to be working on. I'm happy, in fact, we're going to show you some pictures here in a minute of the Southern Heights area that is being worked on with the asphalt program right now, and concrete's being done all over town, and new streets are being done. Many new streets are being done, and all over town. A lot of them are on the east side. So that was one of the comments that came up. There was, and I didn't catch the name, maybe it was Valerie or maybe somebody else, talked about mental health issues. The city is not, I can just tell you, is not well equipped to deal with mental health issues. That is, I don't think we're alone. Those are difficult issues for society to deal with. So I don't have any answers for that right now, other than the city potentially can partner with somebody or maybe help provide resources if we see that as a goal for the city to pursue. I know Ruth Ann Miles, who is on our library board, got up and talked about several things. And then I show that Ray Graves got up and spoke about, she actually spoke about ADA accommodation, hearing for hearing impaired or hearing people without hearing. We have not had an opportunity to address that with looking at trying to have a sign language interpreter here tonight. We have, however, looked to see if we have some hearing impaired devices that people that are hearing impaired can use. And we do have some of those devices. I don't know where we put them, but hopefully they're on the table out front or down there.
Sign is out front, and I have the devices if anyone needs the devices.
Great. Well, see Carol if you need to. So So that will not completely address that issue, but that will help. And then I think there was a comment from somebody about the St. Mary's Bridge, and I believe that engineering is going to give an update at the next study session on some of those engineering projects and where we're at. So that's all I tracked. Scott, did I miss some things?
The only thing I had, I showed that there was a Michelle Solano, and she talked about some elderly issues and social issues to deal with elderly people in the neighborhood. And again, a tricky situation where, she was mentioning, some people have church groups that can check up on them, but I don't have a solution to those problems either.
I would say that the city.
I'll add to that, since I'm on the LTCA board, Long-Term Care Authority Board, I had Michelle refer those to there. If they don't have the actual stuff right there, they know somebody who will, and they'll get them right on the right track. I said they're doing an excellent job up there of coordinating everything that we have for our elderly in the community and being that central point to be able to get to all those benefits that those people need.
Outstanding. Excellent. That's all I had, Gerald. I didn't have anything additional.
So that's the comments we have for those of you that were there. We're just looking for your feedback on how you want to address, or if you want to address town halls right now, or what your perceptions were. This is an opportunity to discuss it.
I want to ask you about the asphalt work. I noticed there's a lot of asphalt work going on in town, and I'm pretty impressed with the quality. Is our staff doing all that, or are the contractors also doing that work?
Well, we have both, but the city staff is doing more local streets that probably are impacting people right now. The large projects like Randolph is being done by a contractor,
Okay.
Cummins. But if you're talking about areas like over in Rolling Oaks, that frontage road on 81, the work going on in the Southern Heights area, and there's some other areas on both the east and west side, that is our roadway maintenance department, who is really, we have some more equipment and we have some more experience, and I believe that we're really ramping up our ability to fix asphalt roads, of which we have plenty that need to be fixed. So we'll continue to try to ramp up that program so that we can fix even more.
Well, your point earlier about everybody's concerned about roads is correct.
Yeah.
When we get feedback, everybody's concerned about it. And I think that whoever's doing the asphalt work is doing a good job, and there's a lot of it. So I think we need to continue that push, and because there's a lot of bad roads still, especially as you move east. So.
Oh, can I,
Go ahead.
I forgot to mention to Commissioner Stallings. I also added a tethering paragraph to the animal ordinance. You had people concerned about the chaining of animals in the yards and stuff. Now, it's still allowed, but I made it a separate section, and I provided rules for tethering. We don't call it chaining anymore. We call it tethering. And there are, so I laid it out separately, so that it's not just how you do not have your animal at large, but it also has a welfare aspect to it. So I think that should be an improvement. I looked at lots of other cities, and suburbs of big towns that are very well off have rules against chaining or tethering. But I'm worried that if we said that you couldn't do that at all, it would have an adverse impact on people that are renting and people that are low income and can't afford fencing and stuff. So I was attempting a middle ground, and I forgot to mention that.
Tethering.
Tethering.
Yes.
All right.
A more humane rule, word perhaps.
We don't chain them anymore, we tether them. But we can tether them with a chain.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm just asking.
Yes, but food, water, shelter has to be close by, and they have to be able to move around.
Back on the streets issue, just real quickly, the concrete repair program's been very, very successful. Hopefully you've seen those repairs all over town. Any place there's a concrete street, that's that repair program that's run by Public Works and contracted out to various vendors like EMC and JMB Construction here in town. And that program's been very successful. In fact, so successful that I believe by the end of November or early December, we're projecting that we will have used the $600,000 in funding that's in this year's budget. So we'll probably come back to you within the next month or two, show you our successes this fiscal year, and then we'll also evaluate the budget and see if there's money to request more from you. So if there is, we'll probably do that because we think that program's impacting a lot of folks, and it makes those concrete streets last longer.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other comments about the town hall?
Yeah, I would just like to speak on, I've noticed in some of the larger cities, they have information stations set up, you know, in like some of the police departments and the libraries, places that people are familiar with. You can go to this station and say you just come to Enid, for an example, and you're looking for a hotel or you're looking for a hospital or, you know, a restaurant or something like that. You can type it in and then it'll Google, and whatever you Google, it'll show you a map of the city and it'll show you where to go and what we offer. And they have some of that in some of the major cities like Denver, Houston, Dallas, cities like that. So I know we said we really don't have an answer, but that's kind of an idea of what I've witnessed in some of your larger cities.
We do have some of those resources here in town through Visit Enid is one place that puts out a common calendar and I believe has lists like those. There may be other resources in town. I know certainly the Enid Buzz has a lot of that stuff too on there. But we can certainly look to try and improve our ability to get out information to folks.
Yeah, because those stations, you know, they're 24 hours, 7 days a week. I mean, you can come into Enid, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, or say you ran out of gas or you have a flat tire. You know, there are certain businesses that accommodate individuals, you know, for emergency situations. So I've witnessed that, so I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah. I think looking to the future, everybody's got one of these. I would think it's better than having a station where somebody has to go to the Stride Center to call it up. If there be an app available where they can get into it no matter where they're at. If they're coming into town, if they need to know where can I get gas, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, what's open. I think an app might be more appropriate just because there's so much use of phones and everybody'd have it right at their hands.
Yeah, so.
But I think it's a great idea, yeah.
I agree. That way they would have it on them and they would have
Yeah.
destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any others? I'd like to say we did not have as many as we had hoped for the town hall meeting, but it's not going to discourage me at this point. We will have another one, probably, I'd like to plan another one about 6 months out. It could have been the fact that they were doing spring break or fall break at that time. It could have been, didn't get enough the weather. There's any number of reasons that we might have had a limited number of people come. So I don't want to be discouraged by that. Let's go ahead and plan another one for 6 months out and give it another shot.
You bet, Mayor. I am not discouraged because I think another reason might be that people may be okay. Because I know
that's okay. That's all right.
I was going to suggest that maybe people are happy and all right. I mean, you can't make all the people all happy all the time.
We need a happiness meter. Yes.
Mayor's approval ratings through the roof.
All right. Nothing more on that. Item 3.5, update on Veterans Week events. Yeah. Commissioner Zaragoza has been kind of involved with several agencies downtown, so we'll let him talk about that.
Okay, we were talking about a yellow ribbon. We made a proclamation on a yellow ribbon, and I thought, it was nice to make that proclamation for the veterans. And we have so many veterans deals going on during the week in Enid, Oklahoma, that a lot of people aren't aware of. The Ride to Remember, which we do the weekend before we have our Veterans Parade, that starts on Saturday, November 6th. They can do a 9:30 registration at the Wall of Honor. Do kickstands up at 10:30. They're going to go do a route where we go over the Veterans Memorial Bridge with all the flags, and then they're going to head up to Ponca City to the Veterans Day Parade and crash their parade and make their parade bigger, kind of having them return the favor the following week on us. Monday night was when we're going to kick off our, November 8th, we're going to kick off our Yellow Ribbon campaign, and we're going to have a pretty awesome get-together. Got a couple of keynote speakers coming in, food trucks, music, bunch of yellow ribbons to basically paint Enid yellow for this whole week coming up. The mayor will be making a proclamation that night.
Yep.
And he'll kick us off at 6:30, and that will be down in our new Freedom area. Tuesday, we might be adding something to our deal once I speak with Colonel Johnson in between of meetings to find out if he's okay with it, and if he can spare me some of his people, I think we can get something in there on Tuesday. But on Wednesday, there's a free luncheon at the Railroad Museum. She's still putting it on even after her husband passed this year. Watermelon passing this year. It's getting so big that she's actually looking for a larger facility this next coming year. That's how much it means to her. Wednesday night, November 10th, after the activities during the day, Chicago concert here at the Stride Bank Center. I said, if some of y'all don't know who Chicago is, 70s and 80s, you'll find their music. Very good stuff. Thursday, November 11th, we're doing the Legacy Award at the Stride Bank Center. And the Legacy Award, the recognition of the Veterans of the Year, along with recording art in this cornerstone. That's going to be a pretty awesome event in itself. And then on Saturday, we got a Veterans Parade, and it's just not a parade this year. Bill Cooley has went above and beyond. They're doing a car and truck show afterwards. They'll have bouncing houses down on, and food trucks on the courthouse yard, and there may be a band coming up from out of town that's a pretty decent band, so, and that'll be all free to the public.
Okay, good. Ready? Thank you.
It's gonna be an awesome week.
Yeah, so we were passing out these flyers that have all these events on them at the, as the tree came into town the other night. And the point I was making with everybody was, I think every city in America recognizes Veterans Day, but Enid America, it's Veterans Week. And here's what's going on this week. So I'm really proud of the fact that our community is so interested in recognizing veterans and putting their money where their mouth is and doing these kind of things. So I'm really proud of our community.
And Mayor, I'll just add to that, and it's not just the veterans, it's the veterans' families. Because when veterans get deployed, their families suffer. And they're the ones that go through with that veteran. So, and the whole idea about the Operation Yellow Ribbon is those families that put the yellow ribbons around their trees and waited for their veterans to come home, some of which haven't. And the part that I want to speak to the Colonel about in between the meetings is in reference to 2 oak trees. One of them being a veterans tree that we're gonna bring in, and the other one's gonna be a POW MIA tree, which we're gonna plan on having the ribbons around them all year round. So,
Okay, good.
Mayor, I have to say, from the inception of this idea when we were together, Keith,
Yep.
Commissioner Saragusa has taken a hold of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he's made it unbelievable. Events all throughout, not just a little Saturday afternoon thing that we first talked about, but a whole week of events
Yep.
involving other communities. And I just got to thank you because it's a big deal and you're making it great. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right, good. Great job. Okay, item 3.6, update on city projects. New wayfinding signs and an asphalt update.
Yeah, hey, I wanted to show, these are just a few things that have recently happened. The wayfinding signage has been a joint project with ERDA for several years now. The city has transitioned to having contractors put the signs up and build the signs. And so this first batch of about 8 signs that Dana's going to pull up pictures of in a minute has just recently been completed in the last week or two. So you should see them. A lot of them are on Garriott. So if you just run through that slideshow that's in the agenda package, you can see them. They look really good. And I believe the next batch is in process. And so hopefully that will get done in the next month or two. So you're going to see, you'll see these 8 or so, and then hopefully you'll see some more very soon. Good. So I kind of wanted to highlight those, and then also wanted to show the street work, some of the street work that's just happened recently with the asphalt program.
Gerald, while you're bringing that up, I liken this to when Katie Couric said, can you describe what the internet is to us? What is a wayfinding sign? Is it just a sign, or is it something on our phones that we can look at, or what does it do?
Well, it's a sign that helps direct folks. Debbie, do you want to explain what a wayfinding sign is? Okay.
Take the pass off.
The wayfinding signage is an attractive way to try and direct people to important places in town with the thought of getting them where they need to go, and particularly getting them to places where they can spend money, which generates sales tax for the city. So we do have probably several, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, there was a comprehensive plan put together. ERDA and Corbin Design put that together, I believe, with some city funding. And so we've been trying to fund this at about $50,000 a year to get to completion. And I don't have the current count on the number of signs we have up, but I'm going to say it's about 30 now, but I think there's about 200 or 200 plus in the total package. So it'll be an ongoing process. As you drive through and look at other towns, you will see wayfinding signs are not just the standard blue informational signs or green, sometimes signs that are used. You'll see the cities that have this kind of signage. NOC has some signage like that on their campus. And I know I've been to Hays, Kansas. Many cities are doing this now as a way to be more progressive and generate more interest in the town and bring more people to town, hopefully, and help them find the places they need to go.
Well, since we've been doing the project, they're beautiful signs. They're real easy to read, and it's not too busy. It's not confusing. You can read them at a pretty fast clip. So I appreciate it. I didn't know if there was something peculiar I didn't know about it. So thank you.
No, and I think it's great. It's good for, if you look at some of the upscale communities, you're going to find this kind of signage. Some places you go, every sign looks different. Whichever business comes in, they put whatever sign they want. There's no consistency. So they really look a lot more professional. They tell you not only where businesses are, but different areas like downtown or the varsity area, which is talking about college campus. So it identifies areas of the community as well as specific things within the community. You notice the one, almost all of them are the same color, but the hospital was in red. So it's easily identifiable. If somebody's trying to get to a hospital, they don't need to work their way through to the last sign on the list. They can see immediately the hospital is this way. So I think they really look good, and they really are upscale. So, good, thank you.
Well, the city will continue with those efforts, and then this is, Dana, if you just want to scroll through there. These are some of the streets that have been done. Well, this is actually in Southern Heights, 6th Street from 412, and I think that's a before picture where we started grinding it. And then you can see what it looks like. Much, much better. It will not quite be like a large contracted project like Randolph, but it's pretty good, as you said, Commissioner Stallings. It shows immediate impact, and it improves the road greatly, or at least, I'm going to say, 6 to 8 years. So,
Jerry, if I can add to this one, being that it's right off of Garriott, it's very noticeable. I did notice it. Can we move up Garriott on the north side of Garriott, i.e. my ward, and do those side streets that lead from Garriott to Park? Because we do have a lot of commercial property there that I think having a road that looks that good next to those vacant commercial properties, that we might be able to lure somebody to come in and develop those properties by having a road that looks that good.
you bet. We can certainly do that. In fact, we plan to get all over town. It's just going to take, well, probably years. But we do have a 5-year plan. We can certainly look at that and talk to you guys about it and make sure we got the right set. We're probably going to be in Southern Heights for another probably month or two to try to finish up as much as we can before we move to the next area. So there's if you'll go back one, Dana, this shows a picture of, on the left you can see we've got a new piece of equipment. I call it the grinder. Or ripper, maybe it's called the ripper. It actually rips off the top 2 or 3 inches of asphalt, and then with the asphalt machine on the right-hand side, you can see they lay down several layers to get that nice-looking new surface that's much improved over the alligatored and cracked and pothole-filled street that was there before. They also did some crack sealing around Carver, because as we assessed the street condition there, we thought that street was still in reasonably good condition, but it needed to be crack sealed because water is the enemy of our streets. Water, the heat, and the cold, the weather. Right before we got to Southern Heights, we had done the entrance to Rolling Oaks right off of where that new concrete road had been done a few years ago, just to improve that access in there. There's a road that goes north-south just outside of the Rolling Oaks, Oak Hill Circle area, called Quailwood, and we plan to come back there at some point, probably be early next year now, to work on that street as well, because that street's in pretty bad condition if you've been on it. Here's a picture of Wabash, again in Southern Heights area, and East State. So you can see the quality work that's going on. You can see our new rolling machine that you guys approved. It's been several months ago. It's been delivered. It's at work. Helps get us a smoother finish. And there's just more work on York Street. We did on our transition from over in the Rolling Oaks area to Southern Heights, we did do the alley behind the YWCA. They had asked for some assistance. Part of their alley is concrete and in good shape. The rest of it was asphalt in bad shape. So they quickly did a nice job there as they transitioned to the east side. And then it just shows, Phillips Park has 2 pavilions in it. Phillips Park is in Southern Heights. I believe one of them has a new metal roof, and we're working on the other one. And that may be the last slide. Yep.
They're both finished.
Oh, they're both finished. Okay, great. So there's a lot of work going on all over town, but also in that area. And that's probably an area that we've talked about before. It's been neglected. Certainly, we think we're making great efforts to try and make improvements there. Probably over the past couple of years, we have made some improvements in Phillips Park. We have also, working with OG&E, had added, I lost track of how many, I'm going to say 30 plus.
32
lights, 32 street lights over there. So that's made a difference. And now some significant road work going on. There is a water line that I believe is at about 90% that Chris can give you guys an update on next time. So that's coming. And that won't end all of our problems. there or other places, but it certainly makes improvement. I did leave out, I guess at the town hall, I forgot to mention, of two of the ladies that had come at a meeting maybe it's been a couple or 3 months ago now, talking about water quality. I think Ray Graves had told us that her water was better. Rose Carr did not seem to think hers was better, so I know David Hunter went out there. I just haven't got back with him to see what he's found out. But we are continuing to work on that situation. As you know, we put in a flusher there on York Street, and at least for Ray Davis, that has greatly improved her water quality.
Does the other lady live next to her?
I believe she lives across the street from her.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but there may be some problems with the service line to her house as well. Anyway, I think that's it for those updates.
Okay, good.
And also, you know, with us purchasing the equipment and the city employees doing the overlays and milling, that's really saving the city of Enid a lot of money by not having to contract that out. I mean, it would be astronomical. So there's a very wise decision to the council to make that decision to buy the equipment, because, you know, a lot of times people frown, but in order to be successful at business, you have to invest. So, I mean, as a colleague to you all, thank you for everything that we've done.
All right, good. Okay, item 3.7, review Omag protection plan.
Yeah, what this item was is really just to help you get familiar with the city's insurer, Omag. You met Omag and the people from Omag, probably several months ago when they came and we did a stability test, and they talked about best practices. They have a recognition program for cities that are members, and part of that recognition system, there's requirements. One of them is the handbook that we've diligently worked on, Carol put together and you guys approved recently. We have a couple more requirements, and one of them was to discuss and ensure that you guys are familiar with our coverage. So we thought, what better way than to put it on a study session, attach it to the agenda. So this is the declarations page. It's kind of small, so I can't read it from here, but it talks about, it's our liability, it talks about equipment and automobile and property coverage. And you can see it talks about the premium that is applicable to those portions. And there's another document attached. If you go and look at that document on coverage, right there, you actually get in and see what automobile liability coverages we have. So this one's probably not, I don't have a whole lot more to tell you other than try to answer your questions. And as you have time, you might review that, because what we'll do is Summer will put in the minutes that we reviewed the insurance coverage for the city at this meeting, and we'll submit that to Omag, and I think that may meet the requirement to have informed you about and discussed our insurance coverage. I know from time to time the city does reviews of what we have, and I know that with Summer and her paperwork, for instance, on car titles, that's a great way when we get new vehicles to know that we have vehicles insured, as we route new titles to Summer, and then we get rid of vehicles, try to make sure that we get those off the policy. So we do that by titling. Sometimes it's more difficult with equipment that doesn't have titles, but we do an annual physical inventory, and that's also another internal control we have to try and ensure that we have the important stuff covered. I know one of the questions that's come up recently, Keston, is what do we have covered out at the airport on the Veterans Park and the M.L. Becker Museum and the wall, and we do have those covered, and the Wood Ring Wall of Honor also has them covered now. So I'm happy to say that we've done that. I know you visited with Connie Blankenship recently. So.
Yes.
So do you have any questions about our insurance coverage that we could try to answer tonight or get an answer for you?
Nope.
Okay.
It's good.
All right.
Well, it was attached to the agenda, so
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
they've got a copy.
It is good reading. I don't know how many pages there were because I didn't read it all. So.
Not that bad.
But I'm sure you did.
Not that bad. All right. So there's the homework. If you haven't had a chance to go through that, I'd encourage you to do that. And if we have anything we'd like to ask questions on, please give them to Gerald, and you'll get the answers. Okay. Item 3.8, a Bluepeak update.
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to talk about this because this has been very, very exciting development for the city. As you know, for years, there's been dissatisfaction with Suddenlink. Many times people are displeased with the city, but I can tell you there's more people displeased with Suddenlink. And we still hear from them. And so it was just incredible when we recently had two companies that wanted to come and do fiber, basically fiber to the home. And so Bluepeak was the very first one, but they came about the same time. And Bluepeak is at the point of actually doing the groundbreaking on Thursday at 8 o'clock over on Oakwood and Willow on that big lot that I think that Bob Berry owns. And they are going to be, they've turned in 3 or 4 areas to the city that we have permitted already. Those areas are on the west side. I believe there's the country club. Well, we're going to have some pictures here, I guess, so we'll take a quick look. You probably can't see that real well, but the green stuff is the Oakwood Country Club, so this is an area on the west side. It's the area south of the country club, and I believe it goes down to Chestnut. And that's on, I believe that's Country Club West. So that's a couple of the areas they're starting with on the west side. That one's one they just recently turned in, and I can't recall. Is that from, can you see that, Dana? Is that from Cleveland to, what are the borders on that? Can you see?
No, I can't see.
Okay. Well, hey, it's a big chunk of town. It's a dense part of town. And if you go to the next slide, this is a big area. Oh.
Tricky.
There should be another slide on the east side from, they're planning to do 4th Street, from 4th Street to 30th Street south of Willow to about Walnut is an area they've turned in. Again, these are smaller chunks of the city. Eventually, as you know, they're planning to do the whole city. And they talked about the franchise agreement you approved a couple of months ago that they would, let's see, that they would have something done this year, and that I think in 2 years they'd have 50% of the city, in 3 years they'd have 90%. They are very, very ambitious. They want to get it done as quickly as possible. And so it's very exciting Thursday. They're going to start, well, they're doing the groundbreaking. I'm sure they're going to start their boards that same day. Their CEO is named Rich Fish. That is really his name. And he will also be here. So if some of you are able to make it, you'll get a chance to meet him and visit with him, and he can tell you why they ended up here. I think they started out, you'll remember Desi Stoops came to the meeting. All of this effort is being funded by private money, which is very exciting. Private equity investors, I guess out of New York City or wherever they're from, GI Partners, I think was their name. So anyway, they're going to be busy doing this eventually all over town, and it's great to know. Dobson is also planning to do fiber, and they have not submitted permit paperwork yet, but I anticipate they'll be doing that early in the new year. So that's kind of the update on Bluepeak. There is help on the way for folks out there if you want alternatives to Suddenlink.
Mayor, may I go backwards from when you asked if there was any other items during the study session that we wanted to bring up, and there was, and so it's in regards to the $53,000 we have to pay to get our Omag compactor. Is there anybody in the room that can talk about that a little bit? We just bought a new, a used compactor a few months ago. It was in the 300,000 range. And I didn't know if it had already broken down or.
Yes, this is the compactor that we purchased, and we're planning on leasing another one soon.
Yeah.
But we own this one, and these machines are so big.
Oh,
They've got those giant steel wheels on it,
Yeah.
and this particular repair is one of those big steel wheels. There's a gear inside of it that is broken off, and just the labor alone to get it to where you can make the repair, and the parts are costly too. Another reason why our lease, we went with Warren Cap, this Omag is made in Germany. The parts we get, we have we can get from Yellow House, but
Right.
it's more complicated to get the parts for this machine than the one that we want to lease. So
One of the reasons.
big equipment just takes a lot of money when the repairs come.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, was for the benefit of the new commissioners and those who've maybe not experienced amounts like this. You know, when we paid 300-some thousand for this machine, I said, well, that's not new, because I knew they're in the $750 to $1 million for a brand new one. So when I saw that it already needed repair, I didn't figure we had 2 or 3 trash compactors. I figured we had one.
Right.
And so when you make these repairs, it makes it like new. And so we'll get some more use out of it until we do whatever we're going to do next. But that landfill is expensive to build, it's expensive to maintain, and the machinery we use on it is uber expensive. So just so you know, in the future you see some of these numbers, you're not so freaked out because this is really the upper end of it. And it's just a simple heavy machine. It doesn't do anything other than have a lot of weight and move along the ground and crush, you know, the ground and the trash to compact it.
But a compactor is the heart of a landfill. You need to have that compactor so that you can make use of the best space at the landfill, and so you got to have it. You can use bulldozers to try to do it, but the efficiency that you can get with a bulldozer is nowhere close to what you can get with a compactor.
Good. All right, good.
Mayor, can I ask,
Yes.
does anybody, I was looking through this, I'm also curious about this 8.12 escrow agreement to place $2.7 million into escrow for a 50-foot
Okay, yes.
section.
That's why we're putting it into escrow. We're asking you all to put it into escrow because we are going to have a jury trial on it.
Carol,
because
could you go back and explain? It's for a
Yeah.
call like easement?
Yeah, it's a
that-
call-like easement, and it is much less expensive than that. There's a landowner that has a different opinion, and he was able to convince the commissioners that he had lost a very important lease on his property. We don't think that that's the case, but here's the situation. In order to proceed, we need to put the money normally into the court. Since we really think that it's like, you know, we're hoping that it's less than 50,000, you know, for this 50-foot thing.
And I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that, but
So
why?
the reason why we're doing the escrow is because by putting it into the escrow, we can still take the property and get the pipeline built, but we control the money. The concern is not that, normally in a condemnation, the landowner can take the money out
Carol,
and spend it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I understand that, but where is this located? What, does anybody know where it's, there was no map attached to it. Do we know where it was
Chris,
located at?
it's in the Garber area, isn't it?
Where?
Yes, it's northeast of town. It's not quite to Garber. It's out on Phillips Road,
Okay.
or just past it.
And the issue is, with such a disparity, if we put the money into court and they take it and they spend it, $2,700,000, we were concerned about how we would get it back if the jury agreed with us rather than them. So that's why we're putting it into escrow so that yeah.
Right,
So-
I understand. What was our offer? Does anybody know?
I don't recall.
It was not all that much. It was somewhere, I seem to recall, about $17,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
17,000 is what I believe it was.
Wow.
It was really a small tract going off across the corner of a piece of property.
50 feet, 2.8 million.
Well, it involves.
Not settled. I know it's not settled.
It involves a lease. Well, we haven't settled it. But we've settled where to put the money. It involves a lease that may or may not have not happened because of our pipeline. But that's not how you determine condemnations. And so we're feeling like we'll get some relief from a jury.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Any others that had questions on the regular agenda that I'd like to pull out? Okay. All right. That's the end of the study session. We are adjourned, and we'll get back together at 6:30.